Hi everyone, my name is Margot. Today I want to tell you how I learned 4 languages in the past 7 years. It's been a long journey because I actually have always wanted to learn languages. I know there are so many resources out there on the internet where people tell you how to really learn a foreign language perfectly, how to reach the C1 level, but I think the truth is a little bit different because since learning languages has become so popular, many companies have realized that they can make money of that, and that's why we have so many language apps nowadays like Duolingo, Busuu, which I'm not a big fan of, to be honest, because I've always felt like these apps are not really useful. So in today's video, I'm gonna tell you exactly how I achieved quite high levels in 4 foreign languages without using any apps, by actually using very simple things that we all have and which are free. Everything started in 2016. I started high school. I had German and English classes. At school, we cannot learn foreign languages. I know there are some countries in the West where people can actually learn English very well at schools. They graduate and they can speak and communicate well in English or other foreign language. I used to get D's in English, like I could barely pass the next grade. I had to take extra tutoring classes. I had really crazy difficulties with it. Even though I dreamt about speaking fluently in English and German, I just thought that it will never happen. I just thought that there was something wrong with me. Of course, it was just about the methods that I used to use, not about me. I thought this is gonna last forever. I thought I'm gonna graduate and just stay in Poland. One day, I got this crazy offer from my aunt that I could participate in one international project in Europe, like a youth exchange, some volunteering activities with other people from Europe. They told me that I would have to learn English because I couldn't say anything. And I remember when I heard that, and I told myself that I'm gonna do everything I can to achieve this, to at least be able to communicate. I didn't know anything about learning languages. And my mom, she had textbooks from Oxford, and I used them. I was using them every day, and every day after high school, I would study. You know, there were like very stupid exercises in these books. I really did enjoy them. The typical ones that we all know, like reading exercises, grammar exercises, listening, nothing about practicing speaking. And of course, I learned a lot of vocabulary. I learned a lot of new words in English, but I still couldn't speak. And one day, after doing these exercises, I just tried to have like a little conversation with myself about the topic that I just finished. So let's say the topic was how to get around at the metro station in London or how to buy tickets. Then after the session, I would talk to myself about the same thing. So I would like pretend to have a little dialogue with myself about at the station, I'm trying to buy a ticket. And I would just like play this little scenario with myself, and that would actually help me more than all these exercises. That's what I realized then, that this helps me more than all these exercises in the textbook. So what I started to do is to practice speaking with myself. So every time I would finish these exercises, I would talk to myself. It helped me so much to practice speaking, and I am 100% sure that if I hadn't done that, I would have never learned to speak any foreign language, because we cannot learn to speak English without practicing speaking. It is such an obvious thing, but I think we just forget it, you know. 3 months passed, and I went on this project, and I had the best time of my life. I didn't want to go back to Poland. And when I came back, I was depressed. Of course, I really missed this time. And you know, during this project, I improved my English a lot. Like, I really learned a lot of new things, and there weren't really native speakers around us. You know, these people were around my age. They all didn't speak English very well, so we felt very comfortable with each other. I went back to school, and of course, at school, I had to study things that were boring, that I didn't really need, but I started to learn more on my own, and I started to use flashcards to memorize vocabulary. I mean, now I wouldn't do it, but back then I didn't know any other way to practice. I would take these flashcards, like 10 of them, and I would read them out loud and try to memorize them. And then what I did, I tried to talk to myself about these things. So I tried to have, again, another conversation with myself about these things. And I think that was also the reason why it helped me so much, because I just genuinely really realized that these things are so helpful. Then I was in a 3rd grade, so I just kept using these flashcards, and then I realized that maybe I should actually start learning German, because, you know, now I know a little bit more about learning foreign languages. I started to learn German with another box of flashcards. It was like a big box like this. I finished it within a year, and I could, you know, say many things. Like, I really was like on a, I would say, A2 level, maybe B1. And I remember that the following summer I visited my friend in Germany, and we spoke only German, and I could actually hold a conversation. I was really happy about it, just because I did these flashcard exercises and talking to myself. And then later, 1 year later, when I was in the 4th grade, I discovered this course online, How to Learn Languages. It was created by one Polish polyglot, and this course really helped me the most. And I'm gonna tell you right now, what exactly I learned from it, because that was like magic. It was during COVID, because when the COVID happened, I was in the fourth grade and the school was basically closed during that time, so I had a lot of time. In this course, she explained, because this woman is a polyglot, she speaks like 5+ languages. She said that the reason why most people fail at learning languages is because they don't create a plan. Like, they don't know what they want to learn. And I think that's like one of the biggest secrets that people who know languages know, because no one talks about it. And it's that we really need to strategize our study. Like, we really need to know exactly what we want to learn. I know most people want to learn everything, they want to be really fluent, but you really need to pick the most important things at the beginning. And it goes for everything, not only languages, but business and other things in life too. You have to have a strategy, what exactly you want to learn, the way you want to learn it, and why you want to learn it. So she said that you need to plan your study, that in the first month you're gonna learn about, let's say, politics. You have to write down your goal. In my case, it was I can talk fluently about politics in Poland in German language. So, because I was on B1 level, let's say, more or less, I found myself materials on the internet about politics in Poland in German language. I basically used YouTube. I found different videos where people talked about these things. And then what she advised to do was to rewrite captions from these videos. So I had 2 videos per week. Some of them were longer, some of them were shorter. And I would rewrite like 2 or 3 pages, like big pages from a notebook. And then later I would translate the things that I didn't know to my native language, and then I would summarize it. So I would create like my own summary of this text, and I would tell myself later about it. So I would close the summary and I would try to talk to myself like to a friend. Hey, I just read or I just watched this interesting video about politics in Poland. Let me tell you about it. I would have a conversation with myself, and that was very, very good. That helped me so much, because when we think about it, when we have a summary or a text in a foreign language, we basically practice so many things. We practice input and output, and that's what she made me realize in this course, that these exercises work, because we have to practice everything: speaking, listening, reading, writing. And that's what we should do. We should actually not have to, but we should practice everything at once. Okay, so one study session should include writing, listening, talking, speaking, and writing and reading. It should include everything, because that's how polyglots really learn, because on language apps we don't have that. So basically, after 4 months of such study, I've learned so much, because every week I did the 2 summaries. So I had like 8 summaries per month, and after 4 months I had 32. So I could actually talk about 32 plus things. Like, I could have a presentation about them. And what I also would do is I don't have it now here, but I would have a book in German and I would transcribe it. That's also what she recommended, to transcribe a book. And my book was very interesting, Paper Towns. I don't know if anyone knows it. It's very cool. It's very interesting. I had already read that book years before, but when I was transcribing it in German, it kind of gave me this like fresh outlook on the story, because of course in every language the same story can have different vibe, I would say, because every language is different. And that is also a beautiful thing that I realized, that by learning new languages, you not only learn a new language, but you also learn a new outlook on life. So I would transcribe 2-3 pages from a book per week. And then I would also like summarize it a little bit. I would like write down the new words with the sentences that I didn't know at that time. And I would try to like talk to myself about what I just transcribed. And even though I was on a little bit higher level at that time, it was so challenging, because a regular novel contains so many advanced words that I learned during that session. Many people don't realize that we shouldn't actually strive for achieving like any level, because in a real life we all mix vocabulary from A2, B1, B2. What we say, what we think in our native language, it contains vocabulary from different levels, let's say. We shouldn't try to divide our study into levels, because that will always hold us back, because in real life we just have one language. We don't have levels, we just have a language. And when you read a book, when you transcribe a book in this foreign language, you can find all levels there. And that's why it was so successful, because I learned vocabulary from all the levels. After 4 months, I moved to Germany. Before that, I also went for a trip to France, where I also practiced French. At that time, I didn't know French at all. I was just starting out. also by using the same methods, and that helped me so much. I remember I did volunteering, French Riviera. I practiced French with the farmers and local people because I worked on the farm. Of course, it was difficult, yeah, but I transcribed another book that I found in French. I listened to many videos in French, and I also was writing a journal every day in French. And I would just use a regular translator to translate my thoughts, and I would try to talk to myself about my day in French. And at the beginning, it was very difficult, but as time went by, I learned that I could have a basic conversation in French. You know, it wasn't only that I knew words from A2 or A1 level, I could have a conversation in French. And even though I sucked, I was stressed out. And I think that French people don't really help tourists to learn French. It was very stressful for me to be there, but I learned a lot only because I knew these methods. Without them, I wouldn't succeed. I would just cry every day, like many tourists in France. I'm joking. So yeah, I moved to Germany after that, and I got a job in call center, and I remember how crazy it was because I could not believe that I actually got the job in German language in Germany. But yeah, basically they didn't care that I was still making mistakes sometimes. They didn't care about it. They saw that I could communicate well, very well actually in German. After the 4 months of study, I spent 1 year in Germany in this call center job, and that's when my German really, really reached a high level because I had to speak German every day for 8 hours, and I was paid for that. After that, there was another hit of COVID pandemics. You know, COVID lasted like for about 2 years, so I moved out from Germany and I went to Mexico for 6 months, and I didn't speak Spanish at all back then. Started to learn Spanish with my methods. I mean, not mine, with that girl's methods from that course. I say my methods, but of course I didn't invent them. I just found out about them. I had a few tutoring classes online in Spanish with native speakers, but it didn't really help me that much. What really helped me the most is just talking to Mexicans. And you know, at the beginning I was crying because I was in Cancun alone and I could not even like communicate with anyone. I couldn't like even order anything in Spanish. In Mexico, people don't really speak English, maybe in some touristic places, but later I went somewhere else where Mexicans just spoke Spanish, you know, and they helped me the most. I would listen to them speak all the time. Every day I wrote down something in my journal in Spanish. And then later I would talk to these Mexicans. I would just tell them about my past days, you know, and they would ask me questions, and then I would ask them questions about how to say something, and I learned to have a decent conversation with them. I mean, of course I wasn't perfect, I still sucked, but hey, I could communicate well in many, many situations in Spanish. I spent there 6 months. So after these 6 months, I came back to Cancun, and it was crazy because I was in the same city, but I could have a conversation in Spanish. I was sitting in a taxi, talking to the taxi driver, and I could have a nice conversation in Spanish. And that's the proof that these methods work. The thing is that we should not try to learn a language. We should allow our subconscious mind to absorb the language itself. We should just create an environment where the language would get absorbed properly and easily without actually trying to force it. Because I understand that we really want it, and that's like our deepest desire to know a foreign language. But if we really don't create this environment where we listen to this language all the time, where we journal in this language, where we, you know, watch things on YouTube and try to talk about them, try to like, you know, have conversations with myself, with yourself, and with maybe another person in this language. Without doing these things, it's very difficult to learn the language because we really need this environment. I know that without having this environment, in my case, I would never learn any foreign language. After Mexico, I went to the US. It was the first time in my life where I could talk to native speakers, to native English speakers, and it was very difficult, but I learned a lot because I was among Americans all the time. You probably have an idea that practicing English with Americans is very difficult because they don't know how it feels to speak a foreign language. So when you make a mistake, they sometimes laugh at you. They don't know how to explain things and they make fun of your accent. I mean, that was in my situation. Maybe your case is or would be a little bit different. But for me, being 4 months in America was very tough, but I learned a lot. My English skyrocketed. And then later I went back to Poland. I worked in Switzerland. I got a job where I also spoke German. I know my life was very chaotic. In 2023, I had an online business. I moved to Spain. I also started to do some volunteering jobs there where I had to speak Spanish all the time, and that helped me a lot. I proceeded with journaling and listening to videos on YouTube and talking about them, summarizing texts, reading a book in Spanish and transcribing it. I kept doing the same things, but just using different materials. I think that helped me so much. And without that, I would just never reach any level in a foreign language. And I'm also happy that I had the courage to go out and practice, because that's also something that most people just don't do. Like, you can be super intelligent, but if you don't have the courage to just practice and talk to people in this language that you're learning, it's gonna be very hard. Everyone makes mistakes and you have to get over it. No one cares about your mistakes. Everyone just wants to communicate with you. So just keep practicing. Sorry, my battery died. In general, learning languages is very simple. The process is just complicated. Sometimes we just need really a lot of time to get that motivation to finally start. And maybe you're just not in the right moment of your life to start, which is completely okay, you know? Because in my opinion, the hardest thing is to just sit down, take out your laptop, your notebook, your phone, and just start learning. When you finally have this plan, when you finally know what you want to learn, if you've planned everything the way I said before in this video, then you know exactly what you want to learn and what kind of learning materials you want to use. If you really want it, you will do it. You will find time, because that's your choice. You choose to learn this language. You choose to put yourself out there and practice. It's not that someone forces you to do so, it's your own decision. And understanding this in the past 7 years has changed my life completely, because now I really know why I'm doing what I'm doing, you know. It's been years since I started to learn German the way I described here. It was 5 years ago when I was practicing before moving to Germany, and I still remember these things that I learned then, because the methods that I told you today are so effective, because they make you memorize the grammar, the vocabulary. You remember these things because your brain, your mind creates a sort of vocabulary net in your brain. It's like you're printing these things on your brain. That's how you memorize them. You know, if you listen to the same thing all the time, that's how you really learn the most. Right now, I only speak English. I have contact with Polish sometimes. I don't really use that much. I listen to German audiobooks pretty often, and I sometimes watch videos in Spanish on YouTube. I still have contact with these languages, and I think that's such a great thing to learn languages, because, as I said, they give you just a completely different outlook on life. And there are so many materials, for example, about how to heal certain traumas that are only available in Spanish. And actually that was the reason why I got over many problems in life, because I found many YouTube videos about these particular things. They were only available in this particular language. And I know I mentioned that already, many people want to achieve C1 level. They want to be on the same level like native speakers, but it's the same thing like trying to become a millionaire and not having even $1,000 in your bank account. You want to become a millionaire, but maybe you should focus first on having $10,000 or $20,000, because that's what you have to have first anyways, you know. First you have 10,000, 20,000, you know, you can make more money, but not everyone can like just jump from 1,000 to 1 million, you know. It's just impossible. Like, almost no one can do it. So like, let's just divide your big goal into smaller goals, because that's like how you're creating this ladder to success, you know. You just need to see the path before going, because if you know where your goal is but you don't even know how to get there, don't know anything about the path, then you will just be too scared to go. I know many people say, oh, I want to learn this language, learn it by heart. But the thing is that learning a language is a bottomless pit, because we can never learn a language fully. There's so many words that I don't know in my native language, but I don't tell myself that, oh, maybe my Polish is not good enough, because I don't care. I mean, it's my native language. I know I'm from Poland, but that's it. I don't care about being super good at it. So stop telling yourself these things like, I want to be the best, or like, I want to be so good. Just start. Learn the first things first, and then later you will see that everything gets easier. Never ever tell yourself that the language you're learning is difficult. Never tell yourself that you're bad at it. Never ever tell yourself that you suck at it. Just always say, I'm in the process of learning, let's say Spanish or German. I'm in the process of learning German. I still don't know many things. My accent is still heavy, but I keep going. And anytime someone asks you, how is your Spanish going? How is your German going? Always say, I'm getting better at it. Never say bad things, because if you tell these things to your subconscious mind, it will remember it. That's such an important thing too, because I think people don't realize that whatever you say, your subconscious mind always listens. If you say something bad about someone else, your subconscious mind thinks it's about you, because it doesn't recognize anyone else except for you. So always tell yourself the best things, like, my German is getting better. I love learning German. Or I really feel like I'm immersing myself more and more in this new language that I'm learning. Wow, that's so fascinating. Always try to be positive about it, because these negative things that you tell yourself, like, I suck, this is so hard, I will never make it, these things will drag you down, and then you will just never learn this language. You will always be bad at it because you think you're bad at it. And when I understood this, I realized that of course I'm talented, because everyone is talented. We can learn any skill. Everyone can learn something if they really put effort and if they really know how to do it the right way, when they use the methods that really are the most effective. In order to be correct 95% of the time in a foreign language, you need 5+ years. In order to be correct in 98% of the things, you need to spend 8+ years on learning this language. You see how huge this difference is? It's just 3%, but you need 3+ years. So don't tell me that you want to speak flawlessly, perfectly, because that's impossible. Everyone makes mistakes, even native speakers. American native speakers make worse mistakes than many English learners. And with these methods that I told you today, that I've discovered, you can really learn a language fast, really fast and well, because you just use the simple things, the simple ways, like in the good old times, and that's how actually it should work. We should not always look for the most difficult things, like the newest wow, because actually I believe, and that's just my opinion, many things that used to exist in the past were better than what we have nowadays. And that goes for learning languages and learning materials, because the simpler the better. Less is more. I've always preached that, and I will always continue to do so, because I believe that what I told you today is treasure, is gold. It works, and it's worked for many people, and I want you to be the next one, because I want you to learn that language that you always wanted to learn, because you deserve it. You deserve to be fluent in Spanish, French, Chinese, Japanese, French, English. You deserve to create this beautiful life for yourself where you can communicate very well in this language. You can have it. You will have it if you put effort and do the right things. Because when I think to myself that 8 years ago I could not speak any English, I can't believe this, because it's only been 8 years ago. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope it helped you. I see you in the next video.